From 1st of January 2015, we will have a whole new research landscape. The NAB, as I think everybody knows by now, has removed themselves from SAARF, and they have formed their own JIC, and they will be responsible for television and radio research from the 1st of January. It will not be part of the bigger picture of South African Audience Research Foundation. So for us, it's a case of we are looking at where we stand right now as SAARF and what we're going to do going forward with the future. We have lots and lots of plans. Unfortunately, I'm not really in a position to discuss what those are right now, but give me a couple of months and we'll have some breaking news for you. But it is, suffice us to say, is that right now the data that you use for television is really good data. It's good, stable data. There are new meters in the households. There are 2,500 reporting households on an average per day. We are aligned to the new census data from the 3rd of March. So the data that you have available to you for TV planning and for predictions is really good, solid data now. What happened in 2012, we had a situation where we discovered that the meters were falling over. The current meters in the households were falling over. And literally we were losing meters by the day. And it affected the free-to-air channels far more than it affected the satellite channels, because DSTV had their own panel separate to the free-to-air panel. So once we discovered what was going on with the meters, we decided to put together an audit, and the audit was done by a French company called CESP. They came to South Africa, they looked at the meters, they looked at all the data that had come out of the meters, they looked at, went quite far back in history, they looked at the sampling, they looked at the weighting of the panel, and then they gave us a very, very full, comprehensive report on what the situation was at that point. They then also made some recommendations as to what we needed to do going forward. So by the end of 2012, we were very well aware of what the problems were and what we needed to do to address them. We started a second project on top of that, which was called the Future Proofing Project. And the Future Proofing Project was all about taking research forward for the next 10 years in this country, because we knew that we couldn't just sit back and rely on what we had at that stage. Online and digital, mobile, all those platforms played such a major role. Today they play a major role rather than what they did 10 years ago. So we needed to bring all of that into our research going forward. It's not quite so simple though, because the platforms integrate. So you need to look at the convergence models. And the report that we did for future proofing took all of that into account. We looked at best practice throughout the world, global standards. We looked at international JICs, which are the joint industry committees, to see who was doing it really, really well. And Joss Cooper and her team came back and presented a huge future proofing a presentation to us, saying this is exactly where we need to be going. So we got some really great research ideas out of that. The unfortunate thing was that straight after that, or really right on top of that, the NAB walked out of SAARF. So all this work that we then spent a year doing, the audit, the future proofing project, everything went, oh, boom, collapse. Now what? Now we then spent the next 6 months trying to sort out how we fix this problem, and we try to bring NAB back to the table or not. Do we let them go off and do their own JIC? But what do we do? The last 8 months, 9 months has actually been about putting the new meters into the market to stabilize the TV data. We haven't done as much with the future-proofing information as we should have and could have because of that. We've had to try and sort that out. We've also had to try and sort out what we're going to be doing with SAARF going forward. That's a really important thing for South Africa, because right now we're one of the few countries in the world that has national research that is not media owner owned. So we don't want to lose that. So we've got a lot of planning and discussions to still have to make sure that we keep that. We know that there's lots of promises that have come from the NAB about they will make sure that the data when they take over ownership on the 1st of January, that the data will still be independent and there will be integrity. We won't need to worry. But you always worry. I mean, it's always better if there's independence and oversight. So we've got to sort those types of things out, and we've got the next 6 months in which to do that.